Hi everyone. For the review of the sensory nervous system. Now first, our objective of this review is to help you understand the basic psychophysiology and functions of the sensory system. Now let's get started. So we have the sensory nervous system. This is part of the nervous system which is responsible for the processing of the sensory information. Aside from that, this is a system that consists of sensory neurons, including the sensory receptor cells. We have the neural pathways, parts of the brain involved in the sensory perception. We have commonly recognized that this sensory system are those for vision, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. So, and we have an additional and for balance also. So in short, senses are transducers from the physical world to the realm of the mind where we interpret the information. Thus, this will create our perception of the world around us. So we have the term called as the receptive field. What is this? Now, this is the area of the body or environment to which receptor organ and the receptor cells are called respond. An example for this one is we have, just try to imagine. Now, the part of the world is an eye. Now, world of an eye. Now, this eye can see. So, its receptive field, now we have the light that its rod or cone can see. So, its receptive field now have been identified for the visual system. Now, we have the auditory system and we have the somatosensory system. So, as you can see, now from the figure, this is an anatomy of the depiction of the optic nerves and nuclei. So we have the optic chiasm and we have the optic lobes in a human brain. So we have also the what we call as representative modules. Now these are the visual system and the somatosensory system now that are active even during resting state. So we have the example now how the process of the activation and response in the sensory nervous system. From the figure you can see, now we have the stimulus from the outside. Then let us see, now your hand, your skin is composed of receptors. Now we have receptor cells there. So from the reception, it will go to the spinal nerves and then it will go to the brain. Now as we discussed with the brain, now brain is the one giving up the interpretation. What is the stimulus that was receptive now, that was perceptive now, that is as a response now the brain will be the one to give the analysis and the meaning of what you taste, what you touch, and then what have you seen. So that is an example as you could see with the figure. Now here now we have the human eye. This is the first element of a sensory system. In this case, we have the vision. So if vision, this is for the visual system. And first, let us try to know now the stimulus. Now we have the sensory system. Now code for four aspects. Now what are the four aspects of stimulus? We have the type or the modality. And then we have the intensity, the location, and then we have the duration. So in the arrival of time, as you could see, a sound pulse and phase differences of the continuous sound are used for sound localization. So we have the ability now of the organism or the organ to detect the external stimuli. So inappropriate reactions can be made. Now as you could see the figure, this is called the sensitivity. Okay? So sensory receptors can receive information now from the outside the body. Now as in touch receptors, now we have found in the skin or we have the light receptors in the eye as well as from the inside of the body. Now we have the what we call as chemoreceptors and then we have also as the mechanoreceptors. First, let us try to know what is this what we call as senses and receptors. Actually, now we have basic now 5 traditional human senses. Now that includes, now we have the the sense of touch. Now we have the sense of taste, smell, sight, and then we have hearing. Now we are going to focus with now the other senses. Now these other senses now that have been well accepted in most mammals, now including humans, it includes with these four. Now these are called as other senses. One is we have the what we call as the chemoreceptors. So these chemoreceptors now will detect certain chemical stimuli. Now, just like for example, if you are going to use your nose, now if you can smell something, now you have smell a paint or any fumes, so the receptors will be the one to, now if the brain will be able to detect with that one what kind of paint is that, now because of this what we call as other senses, what we call as chemoreceptors. Now we have the photoreceptors. Now this photoreceptors is capable of the what we call as phototransduction. Now this is a process which convert light, now electromagnetic radiations, now among the other types of energy, now a membrane potential. So the third receptors we have the what we call as mechanoreceptors. So this mechanoreceptors is the one, now this is a receptors which respond to the mechanical forces, now such as pressure. If you can feel a pressure, now that is because of mechanoreceptors, now or any distortion. Now we have the thermoreceptors also. Now this will respond to the varying temperatures. Now, so for example, if your skin will be in touch or nearby the cold surfaces or hot surfaces, now that is because of the thermoreceptors. Okay? And then we have the nociceptors. This will respond to the potentially damaging stimuli by sending signals for the spinal cord and brain. Now we have an example of pain. Why does you feel pain? Now because of this nociceptors. Now next is we have the sensory cortex. These are stimuli received by the receptors, now that are transduced to an action potential. Now we have the somatosensory cortex. This is located in the parietal lobe. Now remember, we have 4 lobes in our brain. So we have the primary olfactory cortex in our nose. We have the gustatory cortex in the tongue, and auditory cortex in the ear. And then we have the visual cortex in the eye. So human sensory system, particularly the visual system, this will detect and interpret information from the optical spectrum, now perceptible, so that spaces, now to build a representation of the surrounding environment. Okay, so that is the what we call as visual system. And then we have the auditory system. Now this system has the ability now for the sense of hearing. It includes both the sensory organs and the auditory parts of the sensory system. Next is we have the somatosensory system. This is a complex system of sensory neurons and neural pathways that respond to changes at the surface or inside the body. So here, the axons of sensory neurons now connect with now or respond to various receptor cells. These receptors are activated by different stimuli, such as heat and nociceptions. So this will give a functional name to the responding sensory system. Now we have the gustatory system. This is in the sense of taste. Now this is the sensory system that is partially responsible for the perception of flavor or taste. So that is simple. Now we have the olfactory system. Now where can we find the system? In the nose. The sense of smell is the sensory system used for olfaction or smelling. So when you will say olfaction, this is one of the special senses that have directly associated with the specific organs. The main olfactory system, now this will detect airborne substances while the accessory system now senses. Now this is fluid phase stimuli. And then we have the vestibular system. This is a sensory system that provides the leading contribution to the sense of balance and any spatial orientation. So, say for example, now you can estimate now what is the distance, now how much space in between you with the other person. Now that is because of the vestibular system. For this purpose, this is for use in coordinating movement. Now with the balance, together with the cochlea as part of the auditory system. So this constitute the labyrinth of the inner ear, mostly for the humans or the mammals. So that is all about the sensory system. Now, short review for that one. Okay, thank you.